Hello everyone, the new Mortal Kombat has arrived in theaters and HBO Max, and let me tell you, this film is brutal. Mortal Kombat has arrived. It's been ages since the last Mortal Kombat film. As a matter of fact, it's been since 1997 that we've had a Mortal Kombat film in theaters, a Hollywood-made film, not a fan film, not an animated film, not video game, but a feature film. I remember seeing Annihilation in 1997. The first two films hold a special place in my heart growing up as a 90s kid, but even the second one is said destroy all expectations. Destroy all expectations of this film being as good as the first film. Needless to say, this new Mortal Kombat is far superior to Annihilation. But how does it compare to the first film? Well, that's going to depend entirely on the viewer. This is just my thoughts. I'm going to go quickly into what I liked, what I didn't like, and then we're going to talk about spoilers. So watch the first half of this review, and then afterwards, don't watch until you've seen the movie either in theaters or HBO Max. This is a film that I caught on HBO Max because my theaters aren't open yet, which is a bummer because I really wanted to see this in IMAX. I like this film. It's a gritty reboot. The first 95 film still holds a special place in my heart. I don't know if it's a techno music. I don't know if it was just a time when Mortal Kombat was at its all-time high of popularity in the 90s. There's just something about that film. Despite all the improved effects, despite all the improved fighting, I feel like that film is a stronger film. But on the new Mortal Kombat, it does need work on the story. Some of the effects are a little bit to be desired. Some of the editing is choppy. Yes, it's a first-time director here. That being said, the cast is superb in this film. I love all the characters, starting with Scorpion and Sub-Zero. They are the highlights of this movie. Did I want more Scorpion? Absolutely, but I still love that they went through his origins. Overall, I love the way this film opens. It's a darker, more grounded, serious incarnation of Mortal Kombat. And Mortal Kombat is one of those properties that has such a cool lore that the movies barely scratch the surface of that we see in the video games. And I love for that to be presented more. We do get a little bit of it here in this 2021 film. The star of this film and what I would argue the villain, even over Shang Tsung, is Sub-Zero. Holy crap. Is Sub-Zero a cold bastard? This is the Scorpion and Sub-Zero you always wanted to see in a feature film, and I absolutely love them. And I was wondering about the character named Cole. He's a new character added. I love Louis Tan. He was great in Into the Badlands, and he does some amazing fighting in here. It's cool seeing him play an unestablished character, but he does earn his place in Mortal Kombat history and has a cool connection to one of the characters. It's also cool seeing Liu Kang and Kung Lao. They're easily my two other favorite parts of the movie. Then we get Sonya Blade and Kano. Sonya is really good in this film. Kano is funny. At times, though, there are too many jokes. It feels like the studio wanted to make like a Marvel movie. It wanted to make the Mortal Kombat characters like superheroes with superpowers rather than like this like fantasy mystical story with like fighting, you know? Then you get Jax. Jax, he's pretty cool in this. You get to see how he gets his arms. Different in a way you would expect. And that's one thing I have to say about this film. This film is different than you would expect. And I don't want to go too much into spoilers, but for those going in, this is going to be a slight mild spoiler. There is no tournament. So it's kind of hard to judge it to the first film when there was a tournament. And that really threw me for a loop. I like seeing Raiden. This is a Raiden we've always wanted to see. I love Christopher Lambert as Raiden, but definitely this is a way to go with Raiden. Shang Tsung. Yes, Lao from The Dark Knight plays Shang Tsung. He does a great job here. In many ways, the original Shang Tsung looked more modern than this one, but this one's kind of a throwback to like the evil sorcerer, kind of Lo Pan style. I love it. It's like back to the arcade. I love seeing Outworld, seeing Melina, Cabal has some cool stuff in this movie, let me tell you. He's one of my favorite characters, too. There are moments of this film that I love. As a fan of the video game, you're going to be like, wow, they actually went ahead and did that straight from the video game. Brutality, fatalities, all around, gore. But the way it's edited and presented, I feel like it's an injustice to all the great work the stunt team did for this movie. The fighting is top-notch, feels realistic, doesn't feel as choreographed. But at the same time, the other films, the way they presented the fighting was done in a much better way with the cinematography. This has a lot of jump cuts and editing and jumping to other fights, and I just wish it would stop being so frantic and just show these two fight. Overall, I think what really damages this film for me in my eyes is the script and the story. There's so much that could have explored from this world. And again, this is meant to be a springboard. There's going to be more films that are going to be better than this. But in the 21st century and after 20-something years, I wanted more, you know? I think Mortal Kombat deserves more and deserves better. I honestly do. For all the moments that were great, that were fan service moments, so to speak, there are other moments that they changed certain things from the lore and mythology, and other moments where I was just like, really? That's what they did? Okay. Huh. I wanted more of this. I wanted more of certain characters. But despite its flaws, this is a strong start to what may be a franchise. And that's one of my problems with this film and many other films in Hollywood. It's like they create and adapt properties to create franchises. Just tell me a good story. Just give me one good film. If you have sequels, then great. But at least we have a good installment. This film's kind of a mixed bag for me, and I do enjoy it. So if you want to go in and see brutalities and gore, and that's all you care about, then you're going to have a blast with this film. But if you want more from the Mortal Kombat story, you might be a little bit let down like I was, and I would suggest watching the original film, or better yet, just play the video game. Just go ahead and spend the week and play Mortal Kombat 11. 9 through 11, go ahead and play that instead. And you might have some better CGI too. Overall, Mortal Kombat isn't what you're expecting, but it is an entertaining ride from start to finish, despite its flaws. And I give it a 3 out of 5, or in this case,
fatality.
Anyway, those are my brief thoughts on Mortal Kombat. Again, you can follow me on the Stardust app at FredFilmFanatic and Instagram at FredFilmFanatic. Now, for those who have seen it, or if you don't care, time for spoilers. Toasty! Wow. There's a lot to unpack in this film. Some part of me wonders if there is more to this film than what was presented. That being said, though, despite the shortcomings of the film from a first-time director, the writing did fail this a bit, but I love that opening with Scorpion and Sub-Zero. Seeing Scorpion's family getting slain, that was just brutal. You don't have the whole origin of Quan Chi resurrecting him and stuff, or even Shang Tsung pitting them against each other. You don't have that mentioned here yet. So that's a bit different. And also, Scorpion has a daughter that's left behind that ends up providing a lineage that brings us to Cole. That was a cool new character. I think he could have been better. I love the actor Louis Tan, but the character could have been stronger. Was it like Liu Kang in the original? No, not really. And he wasn't like Johnny Cage. You don't get any Johnny Cage, even though you do get that cool cameo. I wish we saw his face. I want to know who's going to play Johnny Cage. That was such a tease. This whole movie is just a setup for the real Mortal Kombat. And Cole literally has plot armor. But I love the relationship with his wife and daughter, his place as a fighter, and having the birthmarks. That was a little bit different. It was almost reminded me of the dragon tattoos in Mortal Kombat Annihilation in a lot of ways. Sub-Zero, though. This guy is bad. I love Sub-Zero. He's the best part of this film besides Scorpion. We don't get enough Scorpion until the end, but I'll get to that in a minute. Then you have Jax. That was brutal seeing how his arms end up getting frozen and shattered. His arms are brought back in a different way. It was interesting seeing Raiden's temple and seeing Liu Kang and Kung Lao. And I thought they were going to have Liu Kang as being a descendant of Kung Lao. It was a little bit different. Speaking of Kung Lao, why the hell did they kill him off that way so early? Oh, I wish... That was one of my favorite characters in this, and I'm like, they killed him off prematurely. It was kind of cool as Shang Tsung, but I'm like, really? Kano was there. Kano was cool. He kind of has like superpowers now. He didn't have the mechanical eye yet, even though you're going to get that in the future. But all of a sudden, everybody has like superpowers, like they're superheroes. Now, they do have powers in the mythology and lore, but it's more mystical. It's more magical. This one's like, they try to make a Marvel movie out of Mortal Kombat, like with superheroes, with Kung Fu fighting. And I'm like, just show us Mortal Kombat. But Kano, he was funny. It was cool seeing the reptile fight and how that origin came about. I'm not used to seeing him and Sonya work together, you know, even though he is a criminal. That was kind of different. This movie is very different. It takes some embellishments from the previous Mortal Kombat story. Raiden was cool. I love this new Raiden. And they're set up there of like Shang Tsung already trying to break the rules before the last tournament. I do think that they could have done a better job of not only telling us the backstory, but showing us. I knew a lot because I played the video games and watched other movies, so I'm pretty much caught up. But this is a movie for fans where I feel like general audiences are going to be kind of lost. Plus, the editing was choppy. Even for me, who knew a lot of stuff, the editing was really, really choppy in this. And the story, I think, was stronger in the original 95 film. Not to compare them or bring one film down or anything, but I just feel like this isn't the best film it could have been, you know? And it's sad because the trailer promised something completely different than what we got. Some of the effects do look a little bit kind of bad in green screen. Goro, he's CG, but looked more realistic in the video game. I don't know. It was kind of cool seeing that fight. I like Cabal. Cabal had a mouth on him, especially with Kano. Like, Cabal was cool in this movie. He was probably one of my favorite characters in this. It's just a shame that we didn't get to see Stryker and him fight. Maybe we will later. Melina, that was kind of a cool twist. I liked her. And I thought we were going to see Katana at least once, but we do get to see her fan blades, and we do get to see that amulet, you know. That's going to play an important factor later, especially if they're going in a direction I think they are with Lord Raiden. We'll see where that leads us. Overall, this film was a lot of setup. And I do like how Cole decides to take on all the enemies separately. That was cool seeing some of the arenas from the video games, and then just Sonya's place is just somewhere in the desert. Like, they're just fighting in a trailer. You get to see like the areas from the video game. That's just in a trailer. But Liu Kang was cool. I like that actor. He was in Power Rangers. I want to see more of him as Liu Kang, and maybe with Kung Lao getting killed off in the way he did. That's some motivation for him to fight Shang Tsung in the actual tournament. And that last fight really made up for it when Sub-Zero took Cole's family and he ends up summoning Scorpion, and that's the fight with the music and everything that just kicks the film up a notch or two on all cylinders. I absolutely love Cole and him fighting. That story there was great. Everybody else being put into like this world was so rushed. And certain characters, you just want to see more. There are fan service moments that are beautiful, but despite all the brutality, despite the R rating, I feel like it's missing something that the original film had and some of the other incarnations on animated and even the video games. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's my age. Maybe it's nostalgia playing tricks with me. Let me know down in the comments below. Overall, there's just something that was missing from this film, and I just wanted more out of it. I was satisfied with what I got, but this should have been better. And this is one film that kind of let me down. And then you get that ending with Johnny Cage being teased, which I wish we saw his face. All it was an ad from the video game. Overall, I think this film would have been 10 times more epic if they showed us the actual tournament, or if they just focused on Scorpion and Sub-Zero. It was one of those films that just try to do all these things, and I don't know, it just got lost somewhere. So next time, Warner Brothers, maybe this director will do a better job in his second outing. Next time, hire some competent writers who've written some big budget movies, and hire a director who's actually worked on a bigger budget. Bring back the techno song. Do everything you can to make this next Mortal Kombat the best movie it could be. Because despite my disappointments with this film, this is a springboard for a series of films that could be superb, and I cannot wait to see what the future holds. This is why I hope the film is successful in that way. It reminded me of the new Tomb Raider. Tomb Raider tried to adapt the new games, but kind of was more of like a prelude to what Lara Croft really is. This is the same with Mortal Kombat. It's a prelude of things to come. Would I have liked it better if it was called Mortal Kombat Origins? Possibly, but it's just a taste of things to come. So hopefully they make some money and make a better sequel. If you don't do that and you decide to get some more first-time directors and writers, well then Warner Brothers, please hire me. Seriously, I'll bring back the freaking Immortals Techno Syndrome song at the beginning of the movie. That's what I would do. Less about what I would have done, but more about what the movie is. Despite its flaws, like I said earlier, it is an entertaining ride. And if you want to see something action-packed during this pandemic, whether it's in theaters, whether it's safe in your area, or on HBO Max, check out Mortal Kombat. It'd be a great time this weekend. Again, you can follow me on the Stardust app at FredFilmFanatic and Instagram at FredFilmFanatic. Be sure to subscribe for more videos and check out these other videos for more content. Till next time, everyone. Mortal Kombat is not about death, but life.